We've all had that lane which falls apart for no reason.
Why?
You're farming, trading, building your items, and then suddenly the enemy's destroying your guardian with more souls.
Huh?
The truth is, that's not bad luck. That's laning mistakes. And almost everyone makes the same ones over and over. That's why in this video we're breaking down the 6 biggest laning mistakes you're making every single game, from wasting time and pressure to buying the wrong items and ignoring enemy cooldowns. Fix these and you'll never lose a lane again. Now, not understanding matchups might be the biggest reason you're losing lanes. Some heroes in Deadlock are naturally much stronger early into the game than others, and players still force disadvantageous fights because they don't know any better. Take Holiday for example. Her kegs and crackshot deal significant damage as soon as the game starts. A hero such as Vindicta might try keep chipping away at your health waiting to unlock her ultimate, and just like that you're dead to a sniper. By understanding where your strengths lie, even a losing lane on paper can be winning. Let's first start by looking at how to play melee heroes like Abrams. The worst thing you can do is try trade with heroes like Holiday at range, as when you finally get up close to deal real damage, you have no health. That's why it's important for melee heroes to preserve their health pool until they find the perfect moment to get close up and strike. Luckily, to help with this, Valve implemented veils into each lane to give melee heroes a chance. Take the mid lane for example, there are veils on either side allowing you to move in and out when hitting troops. By sitting on the enemy side of the veil, they have no choice but to respect that. If they try push you, that's a free kill, and if not, you have immense lane pressure. In lower ranks especially, players get impatient and try force you out. But they don't understand the matchup enough to realise by doing so, they're giving up the lane. To deal with this as a ranged hero, punish them as they come out. They can kill troopers and secure souls from the veil, which sounds broken, but they can't damage your guardian or buy items. So take those windows where they move out and lower the health as much as possible. Once low enough, even the veil won't save them. The thing is, you don't need to be a genius and learn every hero's power spike. Just knowing what the character does and adapting your playstyle accordingly will be enough to start climbing the ranks. And when all heroes are ranged or prefer distance, without knowing their exact power spike, some other factors can really help, like items. Too many players open up their build browser, find their top daily build and go left to right each game. Now, this isn't exactly bad, however some items will seriously make your lane 10 times easier. And if this is you, don't worry, I've been there but I'm here to help, so listen up. It's important to get into the habit of building to counter your enemies each laning phase. For example, when you're against 2 heroes such as Calico and Mina that build spirit damage, a fantastic response is spirit shielding. The reason being is that spirit shielding provides some out of combat regen, a barrier when you take spirit damage and some movement speed. If you don't know what heroes go spirit, then don't even worry. Even heroes building gun end up dealing spirit damage in lanes such as Wraith with her cards. So it's almost always going to have value as you learn the game more. Now to maximize its value, I typically recommend buying this when you're in a double spirit lane. So let's take a look at an item that can save your life almost every lane. And if you haven't already guessed, I'm talking about reactive barrier. I'm not joking when I say, this will literally save you from every bad decision and misplay in lane. If you're stood in the open and get hooked by a bebop, don't worry, you have reactive barrier. This item gives you a barrier every time you get stunned, chained, movement locked, and so on. But that's not all, it also restores 1 stamina to escape with and gives you 6% spirit resist. For more skilled players, I'd even recommend Counterspell. Although it's a bit more pricey at 3200 souls, it's one of the best items in the game when used efficiently, by upgrading your parry so that it can ignore most damage sources in the game. That same bebop hook which reactive barrier saved you from, just parry with Counterspell. Even normal abilities like Calico's Slash or Lash's Slam can be counterspelled. However, as mentioned, it takes more skill than reactive barrier as you need to time each parry. But when mastered, it's going to save you from even ultimates later into the game. Some other great options are rebuttal and close quarters against melee heavy lanes such as Billy and Abrams. Since their main damage is from punching you, parrying will be a lifesaver. Rebuttal gives you melee resist, bonus health, and lowers your parry cooldown. Although that's not all, on a successful parry, you heal, deal the damage back, and gain a damage boost to run them down, only for 800 souls. Close quarters on the other hand is a nice item for dealing more weapon damage. It allows you to deal 20% more weapon damage within 15 meters of your opponent. But that's not all either, you also gain a 20% melee resist, a nice 2-in-1 item for those gun builds into melee heavy lanes. For more information on items, make sure you check out my previous video where I spent 10 minutes diving into the best item counters in the game. Now if you're enjoying the video so far or learned something new, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got plenty more guides coming that you won't want to miss. I also love chatting about the game in my Discord, so feel free to join the community. And I stream Deadlock every single day over on Twitch. I'd love to see you guys there. Both links are in the description. Moving on, another huge mistake players make is ignoring cooldowns. This goes for your own and the enemies. In lower ranks, I've seen many players dash in and get aggressive whilst their biggest damaging ability is on cooldown from their last fight. If you're trying to fight as a Lash missing Slam whilst the enemy doorman has every cooldown available, it's not going to go well. Luckily, keeping an eye out on your own cooldowns is easy, just develop a habit of checking them more often. As for your enemies, their most important ability often has a very large cooldown. You don't need perfect knowledge of what the cooldown timers are exactly, but punishing them when their abilities are on cooldown will make each fight much more advantageous for you. Generally, most threatening abilities have cooldowns lasting over 10 seconds. However, when they're character defining such as Bebop's Hook or Mirage's Tornado, the cooldowns are going to be varying from 20 to even 30 seconds long. That's a long time where you can be pressuring them as they aren't as threatening without those abilities. Even Seven's Power Surge, which makes him deal significant damage at max level, still has a 33-second cooldown. Whenever you notice heroes like these use their major cooldowns, it's the perfect chance to dominate and punish them. Deal damage, shove in the wave, and even damage the Guardian. Try and make them lose as much as possible whilst they are helpless and waiting on cooldowns. It's that simple. For the fourth mistake, we're going to be looking at how players waste precious time each lane. If you saw my video on snowballing leads, you'd know that waves spawn every 30 seconds. Now you can use this to your advantage. Instead of sitting waiting for the next wave over and over again, try gain a lead. Boxes spawn 2 minutes in. If there aren't many good opportunities to deal damage to your opponents after shoving in a wave, go ahead and grab some boxes. For example, in mid, you don't need a super optimized path. Just see what you can find behind you, and in just 20 seconds you could be up over 300 souls. Then when you find some time again, see what you can find to the right side, and so on. It's very common for players not to realize how much time they actually have. As long as you keep an eye out for when the wave starts approaching, keep finding boxes. In situations where your teammate stays and starts hitting the troopers immediately, just tell them to wait for you to get back. Additionally, you can try steal the enemy's tier 1 camp, take your own, go for bridge buffs every 5 minutes, and so on. The important thing is you're not just sat waiting when you can be collecting extra souls to get a lead on your opponent. Staying active is key. A little bonus mistake people make is staying in lane on low HP when the zipline boost is available. If you didn't know, when the timer reaches 6 minutes and 5 seconds, boosts become available. So when you're waiting for a wave on low HP, you likely have time to boost back to base and return on full health, instead of sitting there scared for your life. And if you just killed an enemy past the 6 minute and 5 second mark, be aware they can boost back. Overstaying and getting caught by this is a very common but avoidable mistake. Now, many players out there are greedy with their souls and it's costing them the lane. There are so many fantastic tier 1 options to buy that are completely ignored or skipped for a damaged item. Whenever you're over half health, there's still great options. Something players don't realize is that even sprint boots will heal you over time. Whilst they primarily give you sprint speed, you gain +2 out of combat regen. If you haven't noticed, out of combat regen is displayed with this number at the top of your health bar. And if you've been watching pro games like those on Deadlock Night Shift, it's really popular to also buy monster rounds early on. Not only does it help with pushing waves, but you gain +1 out of combat regen. Additionally, remember spirit shielding from before? That's another 2.5 out of combat regen. That's 3 items costing 3200 souls altogether, providing 5.5 extra out of combat regen. So when you're doing those box runs and taking camps with this much regen, you don't even need to buy direct healing items. Sprint boots and monster rounds also upgrade into enduring speed and cultist sacrifice. Many of you are likely buying these items in your builds without even realizing their true value. And for heroes like Calico that have melee abilities like it too, items such as melee lifesteal treat them equal to landing a punch. That's right, slashing into someone will heal you for the same amount as punching them. It's important to also mention that being greedy and avoiding healing right when you're very weak is a bad idea. If you don't know, it's a heal that can be applied to yourself or a teammate with a 70-second cooldown. And whenever you get shot by an enemy, the healing effect cancels. However, it gives you movement speed when active. So when you're barely surviving pushing a wave, use it on yourself and do a box run while zooming around and healing up, with a much lower chance of it being cancelled than sitting in lane. There are other great options like extra regen and resto shot, but I'm sure you get the idea by now. I'd recommend always buying at least one of these items each lane. Lastly, we're going to be looking at how often players neglect their map. Whenever you stomp the enemy lane and take their guardian early into the game, don't just sit around. It's still laning phase for others that have both guardians up. Take this as an opportunity to push in your wave and check the map. Typically, I recommend looking at how much health both sides have. If the enemies are weak and your team can't finish the job, go help them. Otherwise, just pressure their lane with a numbers advantage and destroy the guardian. However, you don't want to spend too long doing this, as sharing souls with 3 players is less than ideal, but it's definitely something you should look to be doing. Now, sometimes you can double gank, which almost guarantees kills and a guardian, but there are a few risks with this play. The enemies in your lane can take the guardian whilst you're helping another lane. No one is there to collect the wave, losing out on important souls. And if somehow the roam goes badly, you're sharing souls between 4 players for a prolonged period of time. Therefore, whenever roaming looks like a bad option, don't be afraid to start pressuring walkers instead. It's unlikely you'll get ganked from another lane, you create space to steal enemy camps, and if others do come, they'll lose their guardian. Just because you win lane early doesn't mean sitting back and collecting waves is the best play. As always, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure to like and subscribe. I've also got a Discord server. If you ever have any questions, you can message me there. And I stream Deadlock every day on Twitch. Both links can be found in the description. Also, let me know what other big mistakes people make not included in this video down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.